Hey everybody, it's Mrs. C, and I'm going to come to you today with a little video on how to use a graphing calculator. And this one is a screenshot of a keyboard of a TI, oh goodness, I have black, oh please, sorry, of a, there, that's better, TI 84 Plus. Now, this actually looks like a Plus CE, which is the chargeable one. So if you have a chargeable graphing calculator, this might look a little more familiar, but in your classes in school, if you have a TI-84, a TI-84 Plus, a TI-84 Plus CE, they're all good, but they're no good if you don't know what you're doing. So I want to show you some basics, and I hope this will be the first of many. Fundamentally, I think it would be better if I had a screen capture where I could show you me actually using this calculator, but right now I don't have that. So I'm going to do my best with what I have, which is using a program that I'm just going to have to be, pointing to what would be happening if I had a calculator in front of me. Maybe I'll go out and get a GoPro, put it on my head, and actually film myself using a calculator. That would be a fun one to watch. But until then, here we go. So the first thing I think everybody needs to know is how to turn it on. There's the on button. Okay, once you turn the calculator on, up here, which I'm not showing because it's not active, is the display screen. So you would see whatever it was you left off with. And if you left off with a problem, you hit that on button right there. It's going to come back right to the problem that you left off on. It's not going to clear it in most cases. And that's kind of nice. And sometimes it's a little bit confusing because you finished the problem and you don't want to see it again. Some problems you'd rather forget, right? So a lot of times what we need to do is be able to clear the memory. So in order to clear the memory, clear the mem, and I suggest always to my students that you keep a little note in your binders at school, in your spirals, where you do calculator operations, a little tab for calculator operations, a little cheat sheet, so to speak, or a reference page that you can look at. Now, this is a clear button, everyone, but that clear button will just clear the screen, not the memory. So if you do turn it on, you got a bunch of garbage on the screen you don't like, hit the clear button, it clears it. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't clear any of the stuff that's in the calculator, any of the things you changed, any of the settings you manipulated. How do you do that? Well, it's simple, but it's several keystrokes. So here's how you do it. You find the second key. That's this one. So you press the second key, then you press the plus key, second plus, and I like to follow the sequence of 7, 1, 2. That's how I do it. Second plus, 7, 1, 2. And let me explain to you why. When you press the second plus, you're brought to a memory menu. And when you hit the second plus, your screen will read and give you a bunch of options. You can clear entries, you can clear all lists, archives, blah, 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 blah. I like to, with the 7 option, select the reset. So I'm doing second plus to get to the memory window. I'm pressing 7 because I want to reset. And 1, the 1 option is all RAM. So all random access memory, it's going to go ahead and delete. So that pretty much gets rid of everything that would have been messing up your calculator. And then the 2 is kind of the yes, I really want to do this, whereas the 1 is the oops, I didn't mean to do this at all. No, I don't want to do this. Cancel, abort, get out. So follow the second plus, 7, 1, 2. So one more time. I already circled second, the plus, then press 7, the 1, the 2. Not all at the same time. You want to do them consecutively, one after the other. The second, the plus, the 7, then the 1, then the 2. And it will say RAM cleared. Press any key to continue. And you just press any key to continue, and your calculator is clear. The memory is clear, and you're ready to move on. So second plus 7, 1, 2. One of the things, you'll do it enough and you'll never forget how to do it again. All right, so once you cleared your memory, you've done pretty much nothing, but you've gotten a nice fresh calculator. Now, who would want to do that? Who would actually want to clear their memory? Students that share other people's calculators. For example, in my class, you come in and you borrow somebody a class calculator. You don't know what somebody's been doing to that calculator. They've changed certain menus. They've adapted the screen, and then you go to use it, and it's kind of confusing. Second plus 712 clears everything, sets it back to its regular default settings. Now, who doesn't want to clear the memory all the time? Somebody who owns their own calculator. There's no need for you to do that. But if you ever get stuck, second plus 712, clear the memory, start fresh. All right. Now, one other thing that I've been telling my students they need to know how to do is they need to be able to check their answers. There are several ways to check your answers in a graphing calculator, and today I'm only going to address one, and it's utilizing this store function on the graphing calculator to verify that when you're solving an equation, you've done it properly. So the question then becomes, how do I use the graphing calculator to check to know that my equation worked, that I'm solving my equation correctly? Here is one way to do it. There's more than one way, and I'm going to show you the one way that I think is the easiest for where you're at right now. Now, I've been doing this live version in class, and everybody's hearing me panic, saying, there's not enough of me, I need more. That's why I'm doing a video, so that if I can't show you, face-to-face in live version, you can use this video to help you out. So let's start off with an actual equation. Now, we're not going to solve it. It's going to kill me not to solve an equation. Negative 3 times the quantity of 1. Oh, sorry. Reverse. Okay. Negative 3. That's going to bother me. Okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. Negative 3 times the quantity of 1 plus 6x, close those quantities, equals 14 minus x. My Algebra 1 students always say, why do you say times the quantity? Because it's the proper way to say it, not negative 3 parenthesis. You say negative 3 times this quantity. That's what's happening. And so you want to speak properly. So the question then is, if I believe the answer to this problem is x equal to negative 1, that's what I believe the answer to this question is. How do I check to make sure I'm correct? Here's how you do it. Now you've cleared your memory. What do we know about an equation? Well, we hopefully know that if my value of x equals negative 1, if that is actually true, then that value of x is negative 1, and that value of x is negative 1. And if this is truly an equation, then whatever the value of the left side is, it will match the value of the right. Now, back in maybe 7th grade or 6th grade, you were taught to input that value and compute yourself what the value of the left and right side were. For example, you would say negative 3 times the quantity of 1 plus 6 times negative 1. And you'd actually do the math. And then you'd come over to the other side and say 14 minus a negative 1. And you do that math. And these two sides would actually equal each other. But in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and further on, we actually start to use a calculator to do the work for us because we're already doing enough work. We've done enough work. We're going to let a calculator help us out, and here's how you do it. You have to first tell your calculator, this beautiful thing over here, that the value of x, or whatever variable you're dealing with, is negative 1. Here's how you do that. You type in negative 1 first in your screen, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to just draw. This is my screen. I want to type into the screen that negative 1 is equal to x. You type in a negative, that's the negative key, not the minus key. You type in negative 1, and that will give you negative 1 on the screen. Then you hit this store key. stow. -1 stow. It gives you an arrow. -1 stow x. Where the heck is the x key? The x key I like to use is right here. It's the xt theta n. When you press it and you haven't pressed any of the other functions, you're going to get an x. It's just going to type an x. It's a short key. It's a shortcut key. Press that, and if you're not doing anything else, it'll just type an x for you. Easy breezy. So let's review one more time. You will type. Let me clear this whole thing. Can you remember? You should try doing this. You should try doing it. Let's do it in a different color. Me do it in a different color, not you. So how do you type -1 stow x? You type the negative, the 1, the stow, and the xt theta n key. And it will actually do -1 arrow x. I want you to press enter. That's this key right here. And your screen will show -1 over here on the right. That's just verifying that -1 is the value you wanted. It likes to communicate with you. Is -1 the value of x that you want? Yes, it is. Thank you, calculator. And you're good. What if, for example, you did not want x to be equal to a -1? Say you wanted x to be equal to 5. Do you think you could enter that in right now and have your screen show 5 instead of -1? Try it. You don't have to hit clear. Don't have to hit anything. I just want you to try to store the value now for x as 5. Pause me if you need to. I'm going to go and tell you how to do it. So if you're trying to store or change the value of x to 5, you would type a 5. That's right there. It'll put a 5 on the screen. Then stow, arrow, x key. Hit the enter right there, and now you've got a 5. So if you were to now, when you have this 5, type x, it will just, and enter, it'll read 5. It's going to tell you, yes, x is 5. Trust me, x is 5. Okay, now, did I tell you I wanted x to be equal to 5? No. I wanted x to be equal to -1. So try that. Put the value now back to -1. Again, this is a kind of a play along as you go video. I want you to try and do it. If you don't have a graphing calculator, that would be, kind of hard. You'd have to be imagining what you would type. So for those, all of us, let's either imagine or actually do it. I need the value back to x is equal to -1. Go ahead, here we go. You type a -1, -1, stow, x, -1, stow, x, enter, or you're not going to get anywhere. It reads -1. Okay, so we get the feeling of how to enter it. You always have to enter the number -1 and then the stow. If you don't, you're going to get an error message to remind you you're going out of order. It's not x, stow, -1. No, that's not the way the calculator works. It wants the number and then the letter. There's a really good reason, but right now you don't need to understand that reason. It would take too long for me to explain. So let's get to the point where we actually check and see that our answer is right. So now we've told our calculator that the value of x is -1. So now comes the fun part. I'm going to get the calculator to verify that my answer actually is -1 and I haven't screwed this up. So how do we do that? Once the calculator believes that the value of x is a value, for example, we did -1. You don't have to type this, you already did it. Stow x, and it read -1. What you want to do is tell it what your equation looks like. So go ahead and enter the left side of your equation. You're going to just press -3, parenthesis, this is your parenthesis right there, 1 plus 6x, so a 1, a plus, a 6, and an x. A 1, a plus, 6, x. You're going to close parentheses. That's this one. And you're done right now. I said enter the left side. Once you hit all those keys, -3, parentheses 1 plus 6x parentheses. You should have a match of your left side of your equation. You don't go past this equal sign up here. Hit enter. When you hit enter, the calculator will tell you what that value is equal to. And when I did it on my calculator, I got a 15. So if we are doing the same thing and we've done everything right, you're going to get a 15 for the left side. And so when we come up here, we note that that left side is equal to 15. Now you can scroll down, but because I don't actually have a computer screen here, I'm going to have to erase some of this, do it old school, and you just keep typing. No need to clear your memory. If you clear your memory, don't worry, you didn't clear anything, you just cleared the screen. You would have to actually clear the memory, 2 plus 7, 1, 2, to get rid of the value of x as -1. So after we enter this first side, which I'm going to rewrite so that we're kind of looking at the same thing. I know I do have to get a proper screen capture program, don't I? 15. Then you're going to enter the right side, 14 minus x, and you're going to hit enter. And when I did that, 14 minus x, and my value of x was a -1, it read 15. It's telling me that given the value of -1 for x, both sides of the equation are equal. And that is what an equation is supposed to do. And that's a good thing. That is telling me that the value of x at -1 is correct. And the answer is not 15. The answer is -1. Okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to pause, rewrite a problem, and get right back to you. Boom. Okay, wow, that is overwhelming to look at, right? That's not what you were expecting. Well, what I did was I made up a problem. Okay, and this is the problem I just made up. I'm very proud of my little problem. There it is. These are problems. This looks a lot like what I've been doing in class with my students. And so to find out the answer, since I made it up, I just did the math real quick. I got the answer. Got the answer down here at x equals -1. And the reason I made it up is when I make up problems, they usually give me fractions. And I really wanted to go over, how do you actually check a fraction answer? Well, number one, it's really important that when you're checking with the calculator, you're in fraction form and not decimal. The decimal value of a -1/3 is a -0.3 repeated. It's very tricky to tell a calculator a repeating decimal in its decimal form. My calculator recognizes a third as a decimal repeating, but if you just press 0.333, it may not recognize that you mean it's the threes repeating and not actually terminating after the third 3. So I think what we'll do right now is just go over how do you actually enter a fraction. So the process isn't important to anybody but me, because I guess it was my hard work. I think I can remember x is equal to a -1/3. It's in my calculator right now, so I can cheat and look at it. So say, for example, you're taking a quiz and you just got the answer, x is equal to a -1/3. And you want to make sure that that value is right, because you know you don't like it when you get fraction answers. It makes you feel like you're wrong. That's just totally normal. Most people do when they first start out in algebra. So how do we tell the calculator what we think the answer is? The same as we did before. We read, here's my little display screen, liking my little display screen. Do you remember how to do it? You put the number in first. So you're going to type a -1/3. Now, oh, isn't that nice? That's my alarm. Guess what, guys? It's time to wake up. Yes, but for you, I woke up a good hour early so that I could do this video with you. So good morning. Good morning, everyone. So we were typing -1/3. To type -1/3, you would type a -1 divided by 3. That's what 1/3 is. That means you're going to have to use the division key. On this calculator, when you hit the division key, it actually gives you a division bar. Now, for those of you using the TI-83, it actually will do a -1 and put the slash bar. So it depends on how upgraded your computer system is, how good your, how new, not good, how new your calculator is. Mine, I now have the upgraded one, so I have the fraction bar that looks like that, whereas some of the old school calculators will just show the side slanting bar. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It's all the same. To the calculator, it just means divide. So we will type in a -1 divided by, then we'll follow it with that 3. Sorry, I never wrote the -1 divided by 3. And it's going to look like that. Go ahead and hit the stow. You'll get that arrow. Type the value x for the xt theta n key, and you get that. You hit enter. Guess what your calculator does, though? It's going to tell you, let me take a peek at what mine did. It's going to tell you, I wanted to make sure it didn't put a 0 in the front, -0.3, and then it throws a whole bunch of 3's down until it runs out of space and it stops. Now, we knew that, right? We knew that -1/3 was -0.3 repeated. That's all we had to do with the store. We do -1 divided by 3, stow x, enter, and it tells us the value of 1/3 in a decimal form. Great. Now, you don't have to clear, I do. We're going to type in the left side. That's a lot to type. So you want to be very careful with the graphing calculator and the negatives and the minuses. So the rule is, ordinarily, this is like 9 times out of 10, you can type a minus sign if your sign is in between two things that are actually happening. If you want to type a negative sign, you can only type a negative sign if the negative or the sign is in front of something and there's nothing else in front of it. Our minds understand the difference between negatives and minuses. The calculator has a specific method, the scientific method. It's a order of operations that it follows, and it definitely does not see a negative and a minus interchangeably. So when we're just don't overthink it. Say the problem to yourself. It was a 2, type 2. I'm going to erase this so it's not confusing. I'm only using the keypad now. If there's a key I think you can't find, you would type a 2. Now would you say 2 minus or 2 negative? You would say 2 minus. So use the minus key when you would say minus. 2 minus parentheses. Type a 3. Would you say 3 negative 5x or 3 minus 5x? Of course, you would say 3 minus again. 5x, remember your x is up here, xt theta n. Close your parentheses. You remember your parentheses keys are right there. And now would you say minus 4 or negative 4? Let's reread it. 2 minus parentheses 3 minus 5x, close parentheses, I heard you, minus 4. We actually never said negative. Hit enter. What happens when you hit enter and the calculator believes the value is a -1/3? Your calculator now reads -6.6 repeated, but at the back it's throwing a 7. It's rounding. The next number is a 6, I guarantee you, and the one after that is a 6. Infinitely, but it's going to round to a 7. So nice of it to help us out there. So that's the number we're trying to match, guys. The next time I do this, I want it to tell me the exact same thing. And look at my right side is a whole lot easier, isn't it? It's a lot shorter. So what are we going to type first when we now enter the right side in the calculator? Do we write negative x or do we say minus x? Exactly. Negative x and what? Minus 7. Negative x minus 7, which means coming over here, you're going to type the negative first. Negative x minus 7. You're going to hit enter, and you're going to get that negative, I don't know if I wrote that on the last, I would have to back up, negative 0.6 repeated. If I had said positive 6, I apologize. I could hit my back button enough, but you trust me. It should be giving you a negative 6.6 repeated for both of these. Remember, Same for that one, negative 6.6 repeated. Yes, with the 7 on the end. It's rounding. What did that just tell us? It told us that it's not the easiest thing in the world to check an answer, is it? It's a lot of keystrokes. It told us that, yes, indeed, I am right. X equals negative 1/3. Okay, what do we learn from this, guys? We learn, number one, nothing's easy, right? If you've got this graphing calculator, you spent a lot of money on a graphing calculator at home, it will verify that you're right, but it is not going to just spit it out at you. It is going to make you do a little bit of work. I promise you, the more you use this method and the more you check your answers over and over, you will get so good at this, it'll be like nothing. It'll be like butter. It's like butter. It's a piece of cake. But until you get used to it, just like anything, a new cell phone, trying to get used to where do you go to do this? Where's the setting for that? Everything has a learning curve. It's a matter of whether or not you invest the time in it. And this one, guys, this one's worth the time. So practice in class. Do a problem. I don't care if there's an answer key. Check the problem. Do a problem, check the problem. And I hope this was helpful. If I made any mistakes, if there's anything else you think I skipped over, please come to me. But now you get the idea. You can practice without me until I can get to you. Hey, you know what? You're awesome. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.